What if your AI writing tool could actually remember your entire project, not just the last few paragraphs? That's the idea behind Scribist, an AI-powered writing platform designed around the fact that not every writer works the same way. A novelist needs characters, locations, timelines, chapters, and continuity. A blogger needs research, keywords, SEO optimization, and publishing tools. And someone writing essays, guides, reports, or long form content may need a completely different workflow. Instead of forcing all of those people into the same blank document, Scribist gives each type of writing its own dedicated workspace. But does that actually make it better than simply combining ChatGPT with Google Docs, Notion, or Scrivener? Let's take a closer look. When you start a project in Scribist, you can choose the workspace that matches what you're creating. There's a novel workspace for fiction and storytelling. There's a blog workspace focused more heavily on content creation, SEO, and publishing. And there's a general workspace for writing that doesn't fit neatly into either category. This sounds like a small difference, but it changes how the tools surrounding your document behave. Let's start with the novel workspace, because this is probably one of Scribist's most interesting areas. Writing a novel isn't just about producing thousands of words. You need to remember who your characters are, where they were during certain events, what relationships they have, which details you revealed in earlier chapters, and whether your story remains consistent. That gets difficult very quickly. Scribist uses a system called Mythos to help organize this information. You can create and track characters, locations, items, relationships, and other parts of your fictional world. And those entities remain connected to your manuscript. If you're reading chapter 20 and suddenly forget a character's background, you don't necessarily need to search through dozens of old documents. You can access that character's information directly from your writing environment. You can also map relationships between characters, locations, and story elements. For authors writing fantasy, science fiction, mystery, romance, or any story involving a large cast, this could become extremely useful. The bigger your story becomes, the harder continuity becomes to manage manually. And this is where the AI becomes more interesting. Instead of behaving like a completely separate chatbot with no idea what you've written, Scribist can use information from your workspace as context. You can ask questions about your characters, previous chapters, notes, research, or other project information. For example, where did these two characters first meet? What happened to this character in chapter 8? Have I contradicted this character's backstory? Or even, are there any obvious plot holes between these chapters? The important idea here is project-level context. One of the frustrating parts of using a general AI chatbot for long-form writing is constantly explaining everything again. Your characters, your world, your tone, your previous decisions, your outline. Scribist is designed to keep those things together so the AI can work from the information surrounding your project. Scribist also includes voice match. You can provide samples of your own writing and let the system analyze elements of your style. The goal is to make AI-generated suggestions sound closer to your natural writing voice, rather than producing the same generic AI tone every time. This could be useful if you want AI assistance without letting AI take over your personality. And that distinction matters. The most useful writing AI isn't necessarily the one that writes everything for you. Sometimes the better tool is the one that helps you think, organize, research, revise, and overcome difficult sections while allowing you to remain the writer. Inside the editor, AI can help with common writing tasks such as expanding text, shortening sections, improving passages, rewriting content, brainstorming, and providing feedback. So you can work directly inside the manuscript instead of copying paragraphs into another AI tool and then pasting the results back. But you can also ignore the AI completely. Scribist includes a traditional writing environment with formatting tools, markdown support, autosave, and a distraction-free focus mode. That's important because sometimes you don't want suggestions. You just want to write. For people who prefer planning before writing, Scribist includes structured planning tools. You can organize outlines, plot ideas, chapter structures, and other information before you begin drafting. And if you're the type of writer who hates detailed outlines, you don't have to use them. The workflow can remain flexible.
There's also Canvas. Canvas gives you a visual space where ideas can be connected instead of forcing everything into a linear document. You could use it for plotting a novel, building a character relationship map, structuring an article, organizing research, or brainstorming an entire content project. For visual thinkers, this could be much more intuitive than keeping 30 disconnected notes inside folders. Now let's look at the blogging side of Scribist. This workspace is designed more around creating content that needs to perform online. You can research topics, create articles, optimize them for search, and eventually publish them without constantly switching platforms. Scribist includes built-in SEO tools that can help you monitor things like keyword usage, metadata, content length, titles, slugs, and overall optimization while you're writing. Instead of finishing an article and then copying it into a separate optimization platform, SEO feedback becomes part of the writing workflow. As you make changes, you can see how those adjustments affect the optimization of the article. Of course, an SEO score alone will never guarantee Google rankings. Search performance still depends on your topic, competition, authority, backlinks, search intent, content quality, and many other factors. But having optimization guidance beside your writing can make the workflow much more efficient. Research is another major feature. You can perform web research without constantly opening new browser tabs. Scribist can help search for information, collect useful material, save research into your project, and let the AI reference that research later. This is particularly useful for factual content. Instead of asking an AI to write an article completely from its internal knowledge, you can provide research that becomes part of the context. Then when you ask questions or generate content, the system can work from those saved materials. You can also bring documents into your project and use them as context. Imagine you're writing a product guide. You could upload product specifications, research notes, previous articles, or internal documentation and let the AI reference those materials while helping you draft. Once your content is finished, Scribist aims to reduce another common pain point: publishing. The platform supports connections with several popular publishing destinations. Depending on your setup, you can move content toward platforms such as WordPress, Ghost, HubSpot, Beehive, Dev.to, Hashnode, and others. That means the workflow can potentially go from idea to research to draft to optimization to publication without moving through 5 different writing applications. And if you prefer traditional files, export options are available too. You can move your writing into formats including PDF, DOCX, EPUB, Markdown, and other commonly used formats. For authors, EPUB export is particularly useful because the final destination may be an ebook rather than a website. Organization is another part of the platform. Workspaces can be arranged using color-coded folders, making it easier to separate novels, client projects, blog sites, research projects, and other writing. For someone managing a large volume of content, good organization becomes much more important than it initially sounds. Version history also helps protect your work. The platform automatically saves your progress, and you can create snapshots at important stages. So if you rewrite a chapter and later realize the previous version was better, you have a way to return to earlier work. Sharing features allow you to create links for individual documents or larger workspaces. That could be useful when sending a draft to an editor, beta reader, client, or team member without exporting and emailing another file every time something changes. Another feature advanced AI users may appreciate is bring your own key support. Instead of being completely dependent on one built-in AI system, Scribist
allows more flexibility around AI providers. The platform also talks about supporting open source models that can run on your own machine. That could be appealing to users who care about greater control over how they use AI. Privacy is especially important for writers. If you're uploading an unpublished novel, proprietary research, or client content, you obviously don't want that work casually becoming training material for someone else's model. Scribist states that the third-party model providers it uses are contractually opted out of training on your writing. Still, as with any cloud writing platform, you should always review the current privacy policy yourself if you're handling highly sensitive material.
Now let's talk about the current lifetime offer. At the time of this review, access starts at $49. The first license level includes 1000 AI credits per month along with core features such as writing analytics, canvas, bring your own key support, export tools, workspace imports, sharing, planning sheets, blog and article generation, AI editing tools, and Mythos tracking. The second level increases the monthly AI allowance to 2500 credits and expands the SEO related website capacity. The highest current level includes 5000 monthly credits and is aimed more toward people who expect heavier AI usage. Which option makes sense really depends on your workflow. If you primarily write manually and use AI occasionally for brainstorming and editing, your credit requirements may be relatively low. If you plan to generate large articles, perform constant research, analyze long manuscripts, and heavily use AI across multiple projects, those credits could disappear much faster. So pay attention to the limits rather than choosing a license based only on price. So what stands out about Scribist? First, the dedicated workspace approach makes sense. A novelist and an SEO blogger should not necessarily be given exactly the same tools. Second, project-aware AI has the potential to be much more useful for long-form writing than isolated chat sessions. Third, Mythos could be genuinely valuable for fiction writers managing complicated characters and story worlds. Fourth, the combination of research, SEO, direct publishing, and content generation makes the blog workspace attractive for serious content creators. And finally, voice match and bring your own key support provide more control over how AI fits into your writing. But there are things to consider as well. Scribist is still a relatively young platform. That means it doesn't have the decades of development behind traditional writing tools or the enormous communities surrounding more established productivity platforms. The current lifetime listing is also very new and at the time of this review doesn't yet have a substantial collection of customer reviews. So you should evaluate it based on how well the current product works for you rather than assuming every future feature will arrive exactly as expected. I also wouldn't say Scribist instantly replaces every other writing tool. Scrivener remains extremely powerful for traditional long-form manuscript management. Notion provides enormous flexibility for knowledge management. Google Docs is simple and excellent for collaboration. And general AI assistants remain incredibly versatile. Scribist's advantage is bringing many writing-specific workflows together and giving AI access to the context surrounding the project. So who should consider Scribist? Novelists who struggle with continuity and world building. Bloggers who want writing, research, SEO and publishing in one workflow. Content creators producing long-form articles regularly. Authors who want AI assistance without constantly leaving their manuscript. And writers who currently have their projects scattered across documents, notes, AI chats, spreadsheets and research tabs. Who probably doesn't need it? If you only write occasional social captions, short emails, or a few paragraphs every month, this may be far more platform than you need. A basic document editor and general AI assistant may already cover your workflow. The value of Scribist increases when your writing projects become large enough that context, organization, continuity, research, and publishing become real problems. My overall impression is that Scribist isn't trying to become another button that says, generate me an article. Its more interesting idea is building AI around the writing project itself. The manuscript, the characters, the research, the outline, the SEO strategy, the writing style, and the previous work. If it can reliably maintain that context as projects grow, that's where the platform could become genuinely useful. With the current lifetime option starting at $49, Scribist may be worth exploring if writing is an important part of your work or creative process. Just remember to test the features that actually matter to you. Novelists should test Mythos,
and long project context. Bloggers should test research, SEO, and publishing. Heavy AI users should test how quickly they consume credits. That will tell you much more than a feature list ever could. If you want to check out Scribist yourself, check the description or the first comment for the link. And if these software reviews help you discover useful tools, make sure you follow the page and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one.
If you want me to create a complete Scribist tutorial showing exactly how to create a workspace, use the AI assistant, set up Mythos, organize research, match your writing voice, optimize a blog for SEO, and publish your content step by step, comment Scribist tutorial below. Whether you're writing your next novel or your next 100 blog posts, the real question is whether AI should simply generate more words or actually understand what you're creating. Scribist is betting on the second option. Check it out through the link in the description or first comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.